Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, joining us on this broadcast. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. We've all heard the speech by the Finance Minister and the reactions that have come to it. The Prime Minister also saying this is a people's budget. Well, of course, the middle class is happy today. They've been left wanting after many a budgets, but that's something that has been addressed this time around. But do you think this budget also will help in spurring growth? Because that's something that the industry is looking at.
Absolutely. You can't have one without the other. I mean, the most important issue here is that if you are looking at 6.8% growth without the additional boost that this budget is going to give, the boost that comes here, I mean, it's across the economy. It comes in critical minerals. You took a decision by the cabinet. You have now got decisions on lithium battery mining for that. You're talking about nuclear energy. You are talking about centers of excellence in artificial intelligence. We are talking about growth to the civil aviation sector, more airports. But I draw your attention to one thing. You put, as the Honorable Prime Minister says, you put money into the pockets of the people, and that is power for the nation. Also, if you look at the overall thrust, you see, at a time when you are the world's fastest growing major economy, and the rest of the world, rest of the globe is facing challenges as well. When you're at 50% of your GDP is in the external sector and you have to navigate that, the kind of strength and resilience that you will get from a budget like this, which is people-centered, it is something which is putting more money into the hands of the people. The middle class gets relief, which was more than what was being expected. But more than that, it's not just the middle class, it's the all sectors, agriculture. I was looking at some of the provisions that have been made, the new scheme in agriculture. If you look at manufacturing, if you look at the services sector, and you have growth all of urban. You know, I was associated with the Urban Affairs Ministry for 7 years. Again, the boost that you're getting there, this is all very welcome. And I think this is not only a budget designed to boost growth, but a budget which will firmly place us on the journey towards becoming a Viksit or a developed nation.
And that blueprint of Viksit Bharat, there was some disappointment or at least criticism, so to say, that came in as far as capital expenditure allocation was concerned. Do you think that with this budget now, we've seen a shift for the government from capex to consumption? Is that what the government is trying to do here?
No, I don't see any shift in strategy. Insofar as capital expenditure is concerned, it's been there all along. For the last several years, capital expenditure, which boosts infrastructure, has been going up by something like 30% every year. Now, when you've got a 30% increase, this year it's not been reduced. I mean, if total expenditure was 10 lakh crores, this year you provision for 11.21 lakh crores. So I think that's a lot of money. Plus, these are only the initial budget provisioning. As we go along and as you get the capital expenditure figures in, CapEx is doing well. It will also now, this is the government's CapEx. I mean, the private sector, if you look at what's happening, what the OMCs are doing, what other things are happening, this is all win-win. And I don't think the stock market you should take at the beginning of a process. You know, the stock market has to factor these things in. One of the things that what happens is, for instance, the auto stock has gone up. Why? Because the lower priced cars, some inventories were building up. The more expensive cars, there was a waiting list of 5 or 6 months. I would say that, you know, it takes, you know, immediately as the budget figures are announced, it's not possible to soak in everything, but it's been very positively received. Otherwise, in all the comments I've seen, I think it's a win-win.
And like you pointed out, it did eventually bounce back, or at least there were certain sectors that remained in the green right from the beginning of once the finance minister concluded her speech up until the very end. But Mr. Puri, I want to also ask you this because you've been an urban development minister in the past. So, you know, there's an urban challenge fund that has been announced. 1 lakh crore rupees have been allocated for that. Do you think this is to boost confidence in the real estate sector as well, also among people that tier 2, tier 3 cities will now be on par with others?
100%, 100%. You see, when Modi ji assumed responsibility at the center, I'm talking about 2014, there was no concept of urbanization or the challenges that urbanization posed. Modi ji then turned around and said that the challenges that urbanization poses also become opportunities. And he stepped in. For the first time, we had systematic planning. You see, in that planning, what happened? I mean, there is affordable housing. Affordable housing is not going to come only from the government, but under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, both for the urban and the rural sectors, he is already provided for 4 crore homes to be given to Labharthis. And in the urban sector, it's about 1 crore, 12 lakhs, and 80% has already been done. Then, when Modi 3.0 came, it decided that another 3 crores were going to be built. Then, there are other schemes. Urban transport is a very important part of it. Today, we have crossed 1,000 kilometers. We are well on the way to becoming the second largest urban transport or metro system in the world, because we got another 1,000 crores under construction. If you talk about affordable housing, the private sector is very much a part of this. The private sector has been helped out. Some of the projects which are incomplete, more provisioning has come in under the Swamiya scheme. Also, if you look at the basic thrust, I mean, the amount of waste that was being processed in 2014 was barely 14%. We brought that up to 76, 80%. So the Swachhta scheme, what has been done on urbanization, the urban transport, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, all this adds up to India discovering its potential, economic potential through urbanization as well.
Now, India discovering its potential also comes amid, we've seen the changing geopolitical situation. Donald Trump wasn't named, but the economic survey that came out yesterday, that was tabled yesterday, did mention of these changing headwinds globally, that there could be threats of tariffs that were coming in. China, of course, continues to play a major role as far as that is concerned as well. Do you think that the finance minister with this budget has tried to offset some of that tariff threat, if at all it does come in, by the kind of decisions she's taken as far as reduction in customs duty on certain things is concerned, or cess or surcharge is concerned?
No, I would say that an annual budget by a government cannot be anything other than to give yourself strength and resilience. Whichever way the global scenario opens out, and I see the Sensex is up by about 5.5 points. That's precisely the point I was making. But what will happen in the globe, we don't know. You see, it's an interdependent, integrated, globalized world still, even if some tendencies are there which are anti-globalization. 50% of our GDP, madam, is in the external sector. So the value of goods and services which are imported and exported, the value of remittances, that all adds to our GDP. What is going to happen in the world? Frankly, we can only guess. If there is peace in the world, as in the Middle East, and hopefully there will be between Russia and the Ukraine also, that is good for peace. If there is a tariff, demands will be made. There are international organizations, multilateral organizations where these can be discussed. But I think the government of India today, thanks to the bipartisan relationship we have with the United States, we are uniquely positioned to be able to take advantage of this, and for us to be able to engage in these processes from a position of strength.
So that is India taking certain decisions to ensure that we have that negotiating power or the leverage, so to say. One last question, Mr. Puri, before I let you go. The kind of reaction that has come to the fore from the opposition, that this budget focuses so much on Bihar because the state goes to elections later this year. Some even said that this is not a union budget at all, this is a Bihar budget. How do you respond to them?
No, this is, I think, every year they come up with some form of carping criticism. This is not this is not that. The fact that an election is taking place in one state of India, this will continue till we have a one country, one poll. And by the way, we gave, there was a provisioning of a 90,000 crore or a 1 lakh crore refinery in Andhra Pradesh. There's no election in Andhra Pradesh. They said they are your allies. Now, if airports have gone from 74 to 150 and more are being built, some of them happen to be in Bihar, so what? There's an election taking place in Delhi, but Delhi is not the only city in the country which has a middle class. If there is a pay commission announced a week or 10 days ago, that middle class which will benefit from the pay commission will benefit the middle class throughout the country.
And the middle class is definitely happy from what has come to the fore today. Like the government pegs it, at least 85% of taxpayers, if they move to the new regime, are going to benefit from the decisions that have been taken as far as personal tax goes. On that note, Hardeep Puri, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18 and taking